Good day to you. This is Erica Garcia Abigail, and I wanted to take a moment to just welcome you back to this podcast. And today I figured we would talk about managing menopause. So before we get started, I wanted us to gather ourselves and just let's simultaneously take a breath. So take a deep inhale and exhale. Let's do one. And maybe inhale the arms up if we're at work, right? Inhale. And let's get a twist in here. Exhale, bring it to the side and twist. Use your office chair to turn and then inhale up. And then exhale, twist to the other side. And then we'll just maybe do some shoulder rolls and some neck rolls. And let's just gather in. If you have your coffee, your water bottle, get ready to just sip and listen, maybe take some notes. So I really just want to ask all of you, how are you doing today? And really just sit and take a moment and just say how am I doing? And then notice if you start to sense or feel anything. And if you do, you can close your eyes to try to ask yourself this question or just really just taking this pause. And just exhale and just let it go. Try not to attach too much to whatever it is that's coming up and just start letting go with each exhale. So, like I said, I'm Erica Garcia Abigail, and I'm really thrilled that you came back to join us with this podcast and in supporting me because I have tons of topics that are really just for us. And the one that I'm going to be talking about today, I'm sure many of you are going to be resonating with. It's really about practical tips about managing menopause, really with grace. And I want to share with you what worked for me, what's supposed to work that I found out in some of my research. And I'm really excited, really just to begin and continue to have these conversations, not only just today, but even afterwards, so that we can support one another. So feel free to pull out your pen and paper, take out your journals. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Make this one of your podcast go-tos for a daily or weekly, your self-work. And, you'll want to come back to it. And I also encourage all of you to reach out and share your thoughts on either today's discussion or any of the other ones that may be coming up or any requests. So definitely we have a lot of packed information. So let's just get ready to dive in. And I'm going to give you, fun facts too and stuff like that. So for those of you who don't know me, and my personal journey really has been shaped by, a lot of my own childhood, day-to-day living upbringing in New York City and my own getting over my own traumas and stuff. But as far as menopause, my menopausal journey is pretty a unique one. And that's why I like to share it with those that are over 30, women over 30. I really want everyone to hear the story so that they can also make informed decisions for themselves. But for now, I'm now relocated in Puerto Rico, but you could always join me on my online platform for any of the other offerings that I have because I'm a lifelong student of ancient scripture, yoga Vedanta, Ayurveda, and I've really found ways of incorporating all of these wellness tools, the ancient ones, and ways of incorporating them in modern day, right? And then also after 31 years of working in finance as well as running my yoga studio, I shifted now to full-time wellness. And it was really inspired by working with several Fortune 500 companies during the pandemic that I realized, you know what, I am the hero of my own story. And that those that were really connected with me were other women of a certain age. So I encourage other women to be the heroines of their own story. So I want you to consider me like your sister friend, your auntie or what have you, because we're much more alike in our journeys, much more alike in our triumphs than we realize. So exploring healing empowerment together is really what I'd love to do and bridge those gaps. So in this episode, I wanted to delve into some common ways that many women are navigating their menopausal symptoms and doing it with grace, because it can be a little ungraceful, to be quite honest with you, right? You're standing in line or just talking to a friend, and all of a sudden, all this sweat starts to happen, and you're like, and you want to die, or you can't sleep, or you have the brain fogs and all that, right? So, in this episode, I mean, really, do I need to give you any more than an introduction than that? I mean, how many of us, right, are living with these personal summers that tend to come in when we least expect it? And we just want to like rip our shirts off, and this inferno just starts coming from within, and then this weight gain that no matter what we do, it just doesn't want to go away, and we having these like, you think it's PMS or whatever, but we just having these meltdowns like emotionally. And really understanding how menopause and its impacts on our physical and emotional health, once we start to get to know a little bit of it, we can manage it better. And for some, it's short lived. Some will suffer for longer, way longer phases, like years, decade, even up to a decade. So just know you're not alone. Some of the key points that I wanted to really just bring to you is like understanding some of the symptoms and stages of menopause, right? Because there's perimenopause, and this is the transition phase when we're leading up to menopause. Some of us automatically say, "Oh, I'm in menopause," and it's usually peri, and that usually often starts like mid 40s. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't always, because I started my menopausal journey at like 37. So it's not that common what happened to me, but it's much more common to be in your early to mid 40s to start feeling some of these symptoms. And I feel like it's really important to share, because to my fellow career minded independent women, in short, I'm not going to get too personal in my journey, but maybe we'll discuss it at length in another episode. But I just like really want you to be encouraged to be your own advocates, your own health advocates. Take notes, notice different sensations, notice different emotions. When are you feeling them? How are you feeling them? When are your cycles? And definitely advocate and discuss this annually with your doctors. Be vigilant in advocating for getting your hormones tested. Don't stop with just getting thyroid tested, because many doctors will default to saying, "Oh, let's just check your thyroid first," when you start getting those, sleepless nights, weight gain, etc. Because some of those symptoms really are similar. So I get it, but with the potentiality of having to pay out of pocket for extra tests, just ask how much it is. And I'm pretty sure most of you can afford it. And it's worth it, because especially if you're in your 30s and 40s and still have hopes of having children in the future, again, only you can advocate for yourself. I had these dreams too, right? And unfortunately, I listened to the doctors who may have been well intended, but they made me miss my boat, because I started at 37, and by the time I really pushed, I was already in my 40s, and it was already too late. And when it started for me, I was like 37, and I started getting these missed periods here and there. They kept telling me they were like aging hiccups. I had the weight gain, I had the hot flashes, and they just told me, because at that time I used to travel for work, they said because of the inconsistency of my meals and time zones and working out, that was just like my body, I guess, I don't know, responding to the travel and the inconsistency. Whatever. And or sometimes they poo-pooed it and said I was imagining it. Oh, it's impossible. I hate that. Like, oh, it's impossible, you can't be, you're too young. Right? So enough is enough. I changed my doctors to one that would listen to me, do the blood test that I had been requesting since my late 30s. And then in my early 40s, around 42, when I really finally got all the hormone levels checked, they all came back like a woman 55 and older, 5 years post-menopause. And that doctor literally had a heart-to-heart with me and was like, your menstrual cycle is going to probably stop within the next 6 months. And right after that visit, maybe I had a handful more, but he was absolutely right. It disappeared. Poof, gone. Within a few months of finally getting it tested. So it's really wild. My story is a unique one, but it's one that's real. And my version of menopause is the reason why I didn't have children. So, it's unfortunate that I didn't push sooner. So please, please, please advocate for yourself. So understand that I totally empathize with all of you, where you are in your journey, your frustrations, because girlfriend, I went through it and nobody would listen to me. So I see you, and boy, do I feel you, because this isn't something easy to navigate. And there's so many different versions of it or experiences it. I'm 53 now, and I still am hot at night and those kind of things. And we're talking, well over 10 years. So then there's menopause. And classically, menopause is defined like after your perimenopause stage. perimenopausal stage, and usually until you actually hit menopause. And menopause refers to when you've stopped having your menstrual cycle, or due to decline and of ovarian, follicular function. And naturally, it's not considered menopause until a woman has officially confirmed that she's not had it for 12 consecutive months. So 12 consecutive months without menstruation is then defined as it. But and that's like with no underlying pathological reasons for this absence, right? And so some women not getting it for a few months, and then they get it then they'll get like one random one, and then the clock starts again. And a lot of people don't realize that. So some women experience much shorter times between periods. Those are also defined as still being in perimenopause, like twice a month and all that kind of stuff. But menopause for the average woman usually typically occurs around 50, 51-ish. And I'll tell you again, I'm 53, and I've met so many women who've come into my studio to tell me that it all started in the 40s, not in their 50s. So, I guess things have changed in our bodies, and in this day and age, really pay attention to your cycles. There's apps now to help you, so just pay attention, and also the symptoms that you're experiencing, especially, like I said, if you're a woman of a certain age and you still want to have children. My big suggestion, like I said earlier, was definitely check your hormone levels during perimenopause. It's really just a simple blood test that will really be definitely so crucial, and you still figuring out where you are in your phases. The beginning of menopause is marked by a significant shift in hormonal like equilibrium, and it's characterized by a decline in estrogen levels and an increase in FSH and LH hormones. And the hormonals usually shift leads to like a reduction in progesterone levels. So if you're considering saving your eggs, then the earlier the better. And there's a point that once the hormonal changes are happening, saving your eggs, it really isn't recommended, and you'll have to seek other alternatives. So that's why I'm saying definitely, definitely, if you want it to be your egg, then definitely be your own advocate. And like I said, I could always discuss it later. I'm not a physician, but I'm just giving you how I experience it and how I've been researching it. Postmenopause is the phase after menopause, and usually that's after those 12 months. And then this period lasts literally for the remainder of your life. And now here's the kicker, right? The research and the doctors kind of gloss over the fact that you'll still be uncomfortable after this post and during this postmenopause stage. The hot flashes, the insomnia, the mood swings, the weight gain, all that shit. It sticks around for as long as it wants to. There's no rhyme, there's no reason to it, and no one can give you the exact math. So it's literally as unique to every woman as every woman is. And probably the most frustrating for all of us, because we want like an expectation of when is this going to stop so we can manage it and make it better and make it more bearable. But that is why I made this episode, because I hope that to just give you some tips to just manage it and make it better, because nobody knows when it's going to stop. And again, this I want to disclaim myself that I am not a medical professional. I respect all doctors, and I'm not suggesting that anyone stop any medications. Do not stop your routines that have been prescribed to you. By all means, continue to seek the help and guidance of your medical teams for your support. And this episode is more like educational and emotional support, to provide more accessible tips for you to gain, to just have a little bit more comfort in your days. And more so because if you're suffering it, then you're probably one of the first generations in your family that's like not afraid of discussing the private stuff out in public. But you know what? Like we have to discuss it. We have to share our stories. It's the only way we're going to support one another. And I'm done with women always having to suffer in silence what they're going through. Because I think suffering in silence is a lot of BS, and it's just because people feel uncomfortable, but it's not too intimate. It's part of life. It's phases of our lives. And menopause common symptoms, like now these days, they're commonly listed for the masthead. Yes, it's like small percentage of you by the grace of the wombs of the womb gods and divine feminine or whatever are not even going to feel it. So I'm not even talking to you ladies. Like, you don't even have to finish watching this video. You got glossed over, and good for you. But for the rest of us, sit tight, sip your coffee, who are here losing our shit, man. It sucks. pass her a tissue and get some cold water and help her straighten out her crown, because you are not suffering, but your girlfriend is. And it is not fun, right? So we get these hot flashes and the night sweats. And I'm here to tell you, like, hot and fast, right? And it's not just at night; it's also during the day, and it is extremely uncomfortable, particularly whether it's for a minute or 5 minutes. It comes on so suddenly, and every single one of your pores literally decides to open up, and it's like an ocean wave of sweat. Mood swings and irritability. Again, I am talking like we're fine one moment, and then the next moment, we just hate the entire world, right? We get these waves of feelings of hopelessness, anxiousness. We no longer feel sexy. We start to turn on ourselves emotionally and mentally with like the, or being overly judgment or critical of ourselves, a lot of negative self talk. We get overwhelmed out of nowhere. And then some of us also get that foggy brain moments where we're so dysregulated over our emotions that we can't even like put a thought together. And it's very similar to those who experience PMS, but different, right? I know it really works on our psyche because someone who generally has her stuff together can all of a sudden feel like she can't even predict her moods anymore, or they feel out of control. And it can be extremely frustrating and even hard on our relationships, particularly one with ourselves, but even all of our relationships, our spouses, our children, our coworkers, you know. We also get the sleep disturbances, and I'm talking about needing the AC on all year round. Buy yourself like a gel mat or those cooling pillows. The only thing is they only really work for like 30 minutes, so then you have to keep swapping them out. And because the nighttime infernos really prolong that, and then we have our own body heat, right? So I usually keep my room really cool, so I can stop from being overwhelmed. But I'll tell you, like, mine lasted for like 7 years, and it still kind of does, right? The weight gain and the slow metabolism, literally your metabolism is going to come to a screeching halt. It just does. So you're just going to have to really work with how you're dieting, how you're moving. We do get thinning hair and dry skin. Some women do, some women don't. That comes from your estrogen levels. So get your estrogen levels checked, because that's how you can support the dry skin and the hair. Coping strategies and some lifestyle adjustments. Now, I'm only going to give you some of the tips that I've personally tried that worked for me. And then some that were actually given to me, which I thought were interesting, and I feel like I'd share it with you. So if you have some others, definitely in the comments, share it, because we need it, because there's way more of us going through this than you realize, right? So in part of the nutrition, incorporate a well-balanced diet. Make sure you start getting in your calcium, vitamin D, and phytoestrogens. And the phytoestrogens is a big part, particularly for those of us who don't want to take like prescribed estrogen. So you get phytoestrogens by adding more fruits and vegetables to your diets, a lot of whole grains, especially those of us that are less processed and contain more fiber. So in general, usually during this time, like plant-based or pescatarian, more Mediterranean kind of diets are way more healthier options, because they help you stay away from like the highly processed and fast foods. And then, there's something happening to us during menopause that makes it difficult to metabolize carbohydrates anyway. So legumes, nuts, soy, fish, low-fat dairy products are really good choices. Eat meat, but in limited quantities. And you do want to get in like the healthy heart fats, because our bodies are changing. So that's like, get more fish in. You can get the omega-3 fatty acid pills. Those are really, really, really good for your brain and mood function, especially the fogginess. And I will also recommend staying away from alcohol and caffeine. The symptoms get really active. I know I had to stop doing like some red wine and some vodkas, believe it or not, but that's my experience, right? So, but seriously, I used to notice like the moment I had one glass out, all of a sudden I was just so uncomfortable. So for me, that was what kind of just happened for my experience in my body. So you'll start seeing what's going to trigger off those hot flashes, and you're going to have to just start, making some shifts. Um, I know for me, like the heavier red wines, I think some people have told me it was a tannins. I don't know. Again, I'm not sommelier, but I know that I've just adjusted, right? Because I'm still going to go out, I'm still going to socialize, so now I just get like sangria with ice cubes or rosé with ice cubes or, that kind of stuff. And I adjust it. So I'm still enjoying my foods. I just go more naturally to the stuff that's going to continue to give me the estrogens. I love like adding, like having edamame or flax seeds or soybeans or some snack on dry foods. I've added more sesame, garlic, all your dark berries. Like that's become that dark berries and peaches. Like the berries have become more of my like desserts. So I've just like kind of shifted, right? And don't forget, I'm a clinical certified aromatherapist, a juice therapist, and a holistic coach. So I do still take clients virtually one on one, and I do them in person live in Puerto Rico. But you could always privately message me. Like I said, I do them virtually. We could do a Zoom call, and I can really help you out with like maybe some fine tuning some of your routines and recommend a few other things that may just help you stay comfortable during this time. Exercise, regular exercise, is really going to boost your mood. It's going to maintain the weight, and it's also going to keep your bones strong, right? And I can tell you how much I used to love running and cycling. It helped me during this time. It helped me burn away the crazies. It helped me burn away the calories. But on a daily, weekly basis, I maintain my yoga practice. That's what keeps me sane and healthy in my mind, body, and spirit. And I suggest that you find what's going to work for you. You find a local yoga studio, Pilates studio, whatever that's softer on the body but it's going to keep you active. Or if you want to reach out to me, I do in person, but you can join us virtually. Always have your water bottles. Always have a nice cool bottle, cool towel, right? Always use your breath and try not to overexert yourself. You want to keep yourself moving, but not too crazy. Sleep hygiene, right? Establishing a very calming bedtime routine is really helpful. I like to do a few stretches before the bed. And then the most effective one that's worked for me, and actually one of my clients from Ireland, she told me she drank lots of sage tea and she took sage supplements. I haven't tried them. I didn't try them, but I think you can find them, see if it works, and let us know. Or if you've tried another supplement that maybe worked for you. For me, I use some diffusing to calm at night. I try to use cooling apparatuses as much as possible. I think for me, the mat was a good idea, but it didn't last long and the pillows, I tend to always flip them. I did away with the mat because it was just getting hot for me. But some people like it. I think there's now cooling sheets or cooling blankets. Try it, figure out what works for you, and share it with us. I know one of the treats in my yoga studio is I have this big tub of unscented baby wipes, and then I do a mixture of peppermint, lavender, and rose essential oils, and I add it to them. And particularly, all of my menopausal women love it because they will just, wipe themselves down, and when they have, especially with a hot flash, and the peppermint like immediately cools our dermis, and the essential oils just really give them a lot of relief immediately. So the peppermint is like one of my regulars to help douse the inferno. And then the rose and the lavender also help calm the nervous system down too, to just try to like calm down. So give it a try. That's my jam. And I recommend it to all of you because the baby wipes are just beautiful to just have, right? And you can have them, you can carry them with you at all times. And the peppermint will always keep that coolness. And it's just like whoosh. I will give you a note of caution though. Definitely keep them away from your eyes because if they're pure essential oils, they're going to go in and it's going to burn, right? So you can wipe your forehead, wipe the sides, definitely wipe your necks and then your arms, and it should give you enough to cool you down. And then hydration, you've really got to stay really super hydrated. It'll help manage the symptoms, especially the hot flashes. I use like those liquid IV prime electrolyte kind of powders. Or I'll just like add some sliced up cucumber, limes, lemons, oranges, anything that's going to add to the taste. I also like to add like one drop of essential oil, but make sure you've tested to see that the oils that you're using are safe for internal consumption. And this isn't an advertisement for sale whatsoever, but if you do want to learn about essential oils, how to optimize your health, you can reach out to me directly and we could sit down and we could do one-on-one session. I could do an aromatherapy consult with you and give you some suggestions on the ones that I use that have been certified pure testing grade oils. And as I mentioned earlier, as my role as a yoga and mindfulness is crucial as a teacher, and I've always been giving it, and it definitely will help with your menopause symptoms. So for yoga, it's a well-rounded class. Keep the poses nice and smooth and steady. You want to reduce your stress. You want to improve your flexibility, but don't overexert yourself. And you want poses that are going to like support you and calm you. So like forward folds, gentle bends, restorative classes, yin classes are fantastic. For mindfulness, you want practices that are going to be like a mindfulness meditation that's for managing stress or managing your emotional fluctuations. Check out my mindfulness versus meditation podcast. I give some tips on that, and I give mindfulness exercises, and I have plenty of meditation and mindfulness recordings on the channel also, right? So techniques more like deep breathing, meditation, body scans. The benefits are, the improved sleep, improved moods. It'll reduce your frequency and severity of the hot flashes, especially pranayama breathing exercises that are very good for cooling the body and balancing your emotions, and the nervous system are really good at just really tackling these menopausal symptoms, and particularly ones that like keep you also from like also dealing with like some of our aches and pains. Like the pranayama practices are a great one, and one that I used often and that I give to all of my menopausal women. I love shitali pranayama. Shit means cool, calm, and what you do is like you do that like the roll of like a little taco shape, and then I'll give you a demonstrate. So you inhale with the cool, and then you just naturally let it out. So if you can't make that shape, you can like stick your tongue out and push just to make that like hollow tunnel with your tongue, right? So you'll and that's really it. But you'll notice immediately the cool air hits the top of your roof of your mouth, and it starts to cool you. So let's give it a try together. You're gonna like it. I only did it during times of really hot flashes of feeling overwhelmed, especially now that I live on the island. I kind of tend to use it more because I don't like to overheat, and use it also during times of great exertion or like running or power walking outside. So for this video, you'll only do it like 3 times together with me, but you'll notice the cooling. Like I said, the cooling effect is going to start immediately. What it does is also it lowers your blood pressure and it cools the blood temperature. It even actually helps cleanse the breath and cleanse the blood. It also satisfies your thirst and hunger too. So it's a nice one. So sit comfortably, sit relaxed, right? We're going to close our eyes if you want, or you could just watch me. We're going to inhale deeply, fill the lungs with this cold air, and then close the mouth and exhale slowly. So you'll do it as long as you need to. You can do it up to 10 minutes if needed, but we're going to do 3 rounds. Ready? And that's how it is. Ready? So inhale, close your mouth. We're going to exhale with the nose. Ready? Inhale. Close your mouth. Exhale with the nose. Next one, inhale. Close the mouth. Exhale. We'll throw one more in. Inhale. Close the mouth. Exhale with the nose. Notice how you feel. Notice how cold the tongue is, right? So it's very, very cooling. I really love this one. So now you know how to do it. You can keep yourself, feel free to keep doing it as while I continue talking, right? And I'll finish with a few fun facts and a few call to action exercises for you. So, one other interesting fact that I came across was that in the historical perspective, in the past, menopause was often shrouded as a mystery and not overly openly discussed. That's why continually to discuss it now makes it way more acceptable, and it's helping to finding supporting one another and giving each other resources. There are some cultural differences. In some cultures menopause is celebrated as the transition into the new, like, and respected phase of life. Like, for example, in Japan, women all are, and also, in Japan, women also report fewer menopausal symptoms, but I think it's because of their possibility in the diet being rich in soy and like cultured foods, and the way they view aging positively, right? Some other natural remedies that I've researched that people have told me in the past was black cohosh or red clover, commonly used as herbal remedies for menopausal symptoms, though their effectiveness can vary on the person. And so, my call to action for you ladies is, listen, if you already have your journals and you haven't been taking notes, definitely grab it now, because I have some questions that I have for some of you, and I really would love to hear your feedback, right? So, have some of you experienced any surprising or unexpected symptoms during menopause that I actually didn't share, but I've now been told to you that it's a part of menopause? Definitely share it with us, because the more we know, the better, right? And as far as community building, what kind of lifestyle changes have you found have been most helpful during this phase of menopause? Menopausal life that you would like to share, that you're like, you know what, I do this and it works for me. Your mindfulness check-in, how are you incorporating some mindfulness practices into your daily routine? And if you haven't, can you give it a try? Because I can bet you someone will comment here that they have noticed that it really does make a difference in their overall well-being. And I really just want all of you to feel well and supported. And in your yoga practices, have you noticed which poses are helping you? Or which types of yoga have you found that you stop those like power hardcore classes and you move now to the more normal, more restorative and yin types of practices, and you're noticing that it is supporting you? I would love to have your feedback, right? And the other feedback, listen, I am still building out my roster of topics. What other topics would you love to have me cover related to menopause and women's health? Because your feedback is so valuable to me. And I encourage you ladies to join in the conversation on social media, specifically if you have girlfriends like us, right, of a certain age. Share this video, because navigating menopause with grace is a challenge. And definitely tag me, right? Erica Garcia Yoga Vida, EricaGarciaYogaVida. Tag me, and follow me online. And I invite you to save this podcast, and share your stories. My goal is to really make this page your landing page for like all the things you need, and to foster a sense of community and engagement. And I love to read your comments and stay in touch with all of you. And I love to remain connected. I really, really do. And that's really it, I think, right? Yeah. Oh, and you can always join my free Nueva Alma Social. It's a free online community that I host, and it's where I discuss other topics and experiences and tips with other like-minded women. The engagement is not only providing really valuable information, but it also fosters a sense of community support. And if you want to join, feel free. I'll throw the link in the episode information downstairs. Okay, so I think that's it for menopause. Ladies, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but we can get through it. We totally can get through it. And if this is your first video of mine, please, scroll through my YouTube channel, share some of them, flag them as your favorites, give me a shout out. I plan on recording way more, and I'm going to start doing some in Spanish as well. Some of these I'm going to probably translate them and also do them in Spanish for my fellow Latina sisters and, my comadres, right? So as the patronas, we can help each other and pay it forward, because just sharing information and knowing that one of your sister friends just feels better, that in and of itself really kind of like is support. So you are all beautiful. You are all seen. I see each and every one of you. And I appreciate you coming. I know how busy your day is. You're all professionals, your moms, your sisters, your wives, your entrepreneurs. You are busy managing your busy days with so much grace. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you joining me today. And if you're ever in Puerto Rico, definitely come by to my co-working space and yoga studio and El Segundo Nivel in Macau, or reach out to me for the dates of my next women's retreat. I do lots of retreats, and I also do half day at home retreats that you can actually join. And that's part of my Sacred Pause Collective. But no, absolutely feel free to join any of my offerings. And let me know if this one helped. Have a wonderful day, and I will be talking to most of you soon. Ciao, Erica Garcia Abigail. Have a great day.